In this video, we're going to attempt something that is ZEB to be impossible, and that is putting rhyme to reason ZEB POW's creative, powerful, and unique approach to snowboarding. It's a common saying that ZEB POW doesn't even know how ZEB POW ZEB POWs, but I think there's logic and a purpose behind every single one of these moves, so we're going to go and see if we can go and figure out some of that, starting with this insane cab one into backside hand plant into the half pipe. This trick's really cool because it's really like a broken down cab underflip. He's doing a couple things here that are really helping. First, he's going and letting his board preemptively rotate. This is going to let him keep his head in a more stationary position, locked on this point where he wants his hand to go. From here, he's dropping his back shoulder over the nose of his snowboard. This is going to put him more on a side flip axis, and you can see that his board's coming through. This is because when you actually do something like a cab underflip, you just want to take off with your chest in this nice tall position, head down, and then you sort of want to have your legs kick up around you. So he's focusing on getting this straight pop with a straight posture while holding his eyes locked here. Watch his head movement now. Now he drops in this position, kicks his legs up to his hand, and that's what's causing this big invert. So he's not actually throwing much of a flip here. He's not throwing down. Instead, he's coming up and then kicking his legs up, and his shoulders are staying pretty level. So we can really see this here. See how he's not really going up or down? Instead, he's going and just continuing it, and his legs coming above his head is where he's getting this invert. So this is where ZEB POW really goes and stands above and beyond with like the creativity and push. And that's the fact that he's head first coming into the half pipe, he sets down his hand, and this is normally where you'd want to go and set down your legs, carry that momentum to finish the trick. But instead, ZEB POW does something really amazing. He goes and fully trusts himself, jams his hand in, and then reaches and tweaks for that extension maximum. So at the highest risk of point, the highest risk of slamming, instead of trying to take the safe route and get to his feet, instead he's using this as an opportunity to extend himself and get even more style and more finesse throughout the trick. And that's really the aspect of ZEB POW that makes him such a powerful rider. He goes and takes unique opportunities, unique timings to go and exaggerate and highlight his tricks. Here we have a little board slide to tail press. He's going and starting on the middle of his board, not fully killing the side with momentum, causing him to slide to his back foot. From this back foot, he's really exaggerating his counter rotation of the upper body so he can go and easily pop back. I want you to pay close attention to the bend he's keeping in his legs and torso. See how his legs are pretty straight and his body is just slightly over? This is keeping his center of balance right over the balls of his feet, what's going to be really crucial for the switch up. And then he has his weight set over his back foot because now on the rail, because he didn't kill his side with momentum, he's sliding, so his weight set here. This is making it so as he goes and pops up into that nose press, he's able to go and sort of like tweak it over and get it over zeeched with counter rotation of his upper body. So pay close attention to his upper body here. See how it's going and pointed one way, and then he points it the other way, fully utilizing that counter rotation. And the reason why he's getting zeeched out over tweaked nose press is because he pulled that upper body so far in the other direction. And again, that's just ZEB POW getting even more style, but it actually has an even more little purpose here, and that's because he's doing a back one out. So he's having his upper body now preemptively close off so he can back one out, but even ZEB POW, as wild and unorthodox as he is, he's still utilizing the blind landing and all the same principles that you see from the normal pros. Here, he has a front lip. And let's see how he does a front lip going super high speed onto this rail. First, he's going and preemptively rotating his upper body. Next, he's letting his board come up early. This is normally not ideal, but because he's hitting the rail so fast and so speedy, it's not really too big of a deal. It's also a ride-on feature, so he doesn't need to worry about clipping the front of the rail. Even with that said, he waits into his board is fully up in the air before starting that rotation. So even though he preemptively opened his upper body, he's holding this position because now he knows that he can utilize counter rotation. Ooh. See how his arms, pay close attention to his arms here. So they're in this neutral open up position, and then he counter rotates back to that nose. And then immediately as he makes contact with a wet rail, he now goes and throws his momentum and into a continued spin, letting his upper body really rotate. And this is actually a really cool thing to show in snowboarding. He's not worried about having his legs rotate with his upper body. Instead, he's letting his upper body completely rotate past and utilizing counter rotation to rotate a full 270 through. hitting the limit of what you can do with counter rotation. The reason why he's doing this is because of how he came into the rail. Because he came into the rail and utilized counter rotation, he doesn't have any continued rotation coming off the feature. The solution to this is to not rely on continued rotation and instead just go and put your upper body in a rotated position. You can rotate your upper body independently to your lower body, so even without continued rotational momentum, if you go and let your upper body rotate enough, you'll be able to utilize counter rotation. So that's a really cool way he want to approach this trick, and a really tech one. Ooh, I love this trick. This is a trick that I'm hoping to figure out at some point. Did a couple times on bag, but it's scary on snow. So this is a tame dog with a Japan grab, and it's really cool because it sort of stalls out and slows down the rotation and lets you get a little more flexible access. So because he's throwing down into his grab, see right there, he's like curving downwards. This is making it so his board's slightly rotating towards backside. This is normally not ideal when you're doing a tame dog. Normally you want to go straight over, but as he goes and extends and pulls his legs back, it goes and actually pulls him back to neutral and kills his momentum. And that's what's letting him come in and pull through. Oh my, and look at the spot he's doing on this. This spot's really interesting. Let's pay close attention to his head here. A lot of ZEB POWELL's snowboarding comes from his head position because you can't move erratically like this if you don't know what's going on. So he's going, preemptively looking down, looking through, blind, 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 and then right here, he spots. And he's spotting the top of the knuckle and holding his spot on the top of the knuckle instead of having it looking downhill, and that's what's helping him pull back that spin. Oh, flip out of a rail? Okay, we'll try. I don't have these, so we'll see what he's doing. So he lands on his front foot, and the reason why he's landing on his front foot here is because he needs to rock his weight to his back foot. So see how he's going and having sideways momentum, shifting him, board coming down, and then he's going and completely rocking and pulling over that. Look at that flex of a snowboard. That is ridiculous. I'd be very interested to know the flex profile of that thing. Holy moly. So just fully flexing out that board, and that's giving him all this pop to get out of that rail. That is a massive flip, massive air time. Holy moly, to get through. How is he doing that without rotating? That's very interesting. Keeping it straight must have to do with head positioning. So let's see his head. Doop. And this is actually basically the same trick he did into the half pipe earlier, same as a cab underflip, but he goes and, yeah, basically the same as the trick he did before. Oh my God. Whew. Okay, this is a huck. I don't care who you are in snowboarding. Is this Hardway? Hardway front free onto a gap rail? That is gnarly. Let's see if he's doing anything to make it less gnarly. So he's popping up full extension, spotting the rail, spotting where he's going, just like you would for a front free on the jump. Then he's utilizing counter rotation right here. And the reason why he's utilizing counter rotation is because it kills his rotational energy. When you counter rotate, well, it does speed up your spin by bringing your legs in line with your upper body. It also slows down your maximum rotation velocity, what's really important for landing onto rails. So he counter rotates all the way to 360, and he's holding this blind landing on the rail. So he was holding a constant spot, spotting this whole time, and now he's landing just like you would on a jump, just with extra counter rotation. So that's just precision, that's just skill, and the reason why we see him landing a little bit heel heavy here is even with all that counter rotation, he's still going and having momentum that he couldn't fully stop. Oh, and then he hits it with a back free on. Oh, very cool. This is actually a great opportunity, though, to go and talk about back frees, because if you're doing a back free on a rail, you want to do a few things to make it way safer. Oh, look at that head position. Look at that extension. That's so cool. So what's he doing here? First, he's popping and getting his upper body fully up and tall. This must just be because he wants to make sure he's getting onto the rail and getting over it. The next thing he's doing is something that really looks like he's spotting over his shoulder, but he's really not. Because his gaze is pointed down, his torso is just really extended. So normally this would be like spotting over the shoulder, but because his torso's so straight and tall, this position is letting him go and hold that under the armpit spot, even with a position that wouldn't normally let it. And what he's doing here is the key to making this work, and that is preemptively rotating with his upper body. See how his upper body's rotated so much? This is making it so he can, again, utilize counter rotation while also spotting the feature a lot sooner. And this is something I want you to go and take home with. And that's that for a backside 360, you don't need to snap it all connected, all super hard. If you just let your upper body continue the rotation, you'll be able to utilize counter rotation in order to bring it around. So when you're doing backside 360s, just focus on getting a great takeoff, holding a good head position, holding a good spot, and letting that upper body lead the rotation, because then you can always utilize counter rotation to up to 270, just like ZEB POW did here for the rail. And that's letting him absorb it and kill all of his momentum. Gnarly trick, gnarly feature. Front board on the S rail, pretty sick. And we count it. So let's go and see what he's doing here, because S rails are a really cool feature that go and utilize a lot of principles of rail riding. So first, he's coming up, and I want you to note a couple of things. Look at how his board's maintaining pressure with the takeoff all the way until he's off the lip. He's not trying to ollie, he's not trying to flex, he's not extending his legs. He's keeping himself in this bent down front board position. So ZEB POW here is doing exactly what I've been trying to teach, and that's holding your position for the front board off the takeoff, so then you can just utilize counter rotation of the hips. So that's all he's doing. He's going and counter rotating and then extending to meet the rail. Landing with it very angled so he can go and hit that C curve, and then this is where the S rail gets really tech and interesting. He's going to have to pull his upper body over the front foot to now rebalance and get into the other curve. So let's watch his upper body do that. Take his upper body and look at his head, pulls it over, shifts the hips, down blunted the other side. And then, boom, right into the other way, shifting his weight back to that back foot, and then coming out fakie. The reason why he's coming out fakie here is because he had to use so much energy to shift to the back foot. It caused his shoulders to close, so he wasn't able to hold it. Very cool. Yoop. Front three, just styly, lots of the boys. Oh, Bear Mountain, classic. And just such a fun snowboarder. Ooh, I forget what these are called. Are these called like a Tina or something? Let me know in the comments. But that's so sick. Yeah, so method going the wrong way on the hip, not worrying about tweaking it too much. So what is he doing here? Preemptively opening his upper body. This is to go and get into the angle of the half or the quarter pipe. If you take off completely squared, you're going to land with your board squared, super toe heavy. So you want to go and angle your upper body. So that's going to make it so as he pops up, his legs naturally shift to that angle. So see how he's completely aligned here, preemptively opened. And then after he's fully hit his pop, so fully hit the pop, then hits the grab, then hits the tweak. So just a very well performed grab, taking away any extra steps and any adjustments he needs to make in the air. Nollie, we're not breaking down the Nollie back, whatever. I don't got those. Ooh, Hardway cab 2? Let's do it. We'll do a couple more tricks. I don't have a timer going, so I have no idea how long this has been. But Hardway cab 2 is a really interesting one because you need to make sure you don't clip your toe edge. So you need to get full extension and a lot of pop. That's why it's Hardway, because you have to go and get over the rail before rotating. So he's going and preemptively having his upper body rotate a lot, and that's so he can instantly kick his legs 270 counter rotation while keeping his spot to the same point. So instead of trying to throw it like a spin, it's just setting yourself up to utilize counter rotation. This is also really beneficial because landing with your chest open expands your range of motion. So this is letting him go and continue that momentum all the way through. See how his upper body is continuing to throw? If you land with your upper body like too stacked or too rotated, you're not going to have the range of motion to go and continue that momentum. Oh, okay, we got to talk about this. Nollie over into nose press. Oh, I thought he was going to back one out. I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying back one out. Look at the arms. Look at the style. Just wants the press so powerful. That's so cool. Not afraid to get a little bit loose. So that's really the power of ZEB POW. He has all the fundamentals. He's doing the things proper, but then he's not afraid to go and put himself at risk. So for the Nollie, he's going and shifting his weight all the way forward. Very straight-legged position. So starting with his weight front forward, shifting, popping up, and then bringing the legs up. Oh my goodness, the precision. He almost clips straight into that nose press. So much commitment, so much power. Wow, that's commitment right there. So close to being a disaster. Oh my God. We're not, we're not even messing with that. Uh, we'll mess with that in another video. If you want, let me know. We can do a ZEB POW knuckle huck video, but these things are just a different level. Street through the gap. That one isn't too tech. He's basically just putting his board on the angle and then just performing a normal jump. But look at how close his knee is to clipping that thing. Oh my God, that's so gnarly. That would bust your knee up. Something fierce. He's just such a fun rider. Such a good guy to have in the sport. Hardway cab 2. Backflip out of a rail. All right, we'll end this with a backflip out of a rail. Why not? Out of this donkey dink. So ZEB POW, he doesn't triple, he doesn't do that kind of thing, but this is gnarly. Big street feature, Wildcat out. So what is he doing to Wildcat out of something this tech? First, he's landing on the rail in his preemptive 50-50 position. So let's go and look at this takeoff. He's coming off tall and then crouching himself into a super crouched position. And as he's wildcatting, he's going and keeping his upper body a little bit forward, but he actually makes it a lot taller than I expected. I think this is because he needs to generate so much power because it's a flat takeoff. He needs to really be stacked over his board, and he can't have his upper body as forward as you normally would see for like something that would normally be wildcatting with this much power. And that's because if he has his weight too far forward, his weight's going to be set over here, and that's going to make him slip off a rail. And this is forcing him to be in this more stacked, tall position that you normally see on wildcats. From here, he's going and shifting his weight all the way to his back foot, and this is exactly how you want to be wildcatting. See how his hips are kicking forward, chest is going up? Whenever you do something like a wildcat, you want to shoot your hips forward and have your chest come up. And also look at his head positioning. He's not looking back, preemptively extending. If you go and look back with your neck, it's going to leave it loose and it's going to elongate your torso. So instead, you want to have it sort of like attached to the shoulder. As the shoulder goes up, your upper body follows. And that's exactly what he's doing here. Kicking the hips forward, lifting the chest up while keeping the head connected to the shoulder. And then he goes and pulls it into his backy, then extends it out. So strong takeoff, just like you would see in the park, and then he just goes and lets his upper body lead the rotation, and that's what lets him extend it out. Just a sick backflip. Okay, we'll do one more trick. I don't know why not. Something that isn't a rail. Man, he is good on rails though. Oh, just textbook backboard pretz. Okay, let's go and break down one of the most textbook tricks we've seen in here. Just a solid backboard pretzel. So he's coming in, really tall posture. That's interesting. He's doing this trick a lot taller than I would be doing it. So tall overboard, but still maintaining contact with that rail. And look at how squared off his body is. This is because he wants to rotate the other way, so he doesn't want to be preemptively positioned because he's going to want to utilize counter rotation. Pulling that counter rotation and loading into that position. So see how now he's going and taking his hand and pulling it to his back leg. This is going to keep his upper body in a position that's easy to rotate out of. But this isn't going to be enough to get the trick going, and that's why he's going and, he's actually not going and pulling his upper body more out of his position. He's literally landing in the exact same position that he's going to want to spin out from. See how he's not extending the position at all? I sort of thought for this you'd want to like continue loading up and continue that momentum, but I guess if you have good enough upper and lower body separation, you don't need to worry about having that momentum continue on the counter. So ZEB POW is literally landing fully counter rotated, and then he's utilizing counter rotation right after. I think this is possible because of how tall he is. See how tall he is over his snowboard? He's still keeping that hinge in his hips, so his center of mass is still at the same point, but because his legs are so straight, it's narrowing in his rotation. Think of like a figure skater being like straight and bringing their arms in. This is sort of the same thing Zeb's doing by having these legs a little more tall. And then from here, let's watch his head positioning. Let's watch his head positioning for this whole thing really quick. He's coming in, eyes, looking right at the camera. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is Zeb POWELL seeing the rail here. I think a little bit out of like the corner of his eye, but he's trying to keep his chest and head positioned over here. If you let your head get positioned too much looking over at the end of a rail, it's going to be too hard to then initiate that pretzel out, especially when the rail is this short. So this could be a reason why he's doing this, is because he's doing a gap and he's hitting at such high speed, he doesn't have much speed. So his head position is basically the same point throughout the whole duration, and then he's locking his eyes on that point and utilizing the blind landing combined with counter rotation in order to get it around. So that's our first breakdown of ZEB. Obviously, a lot more to learn, a lot more to cover. Let me know if you want another video on him, and we'll be back at it with another video soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.